Welcome to this edition of Dragon Dialogue. With us today is four-time state champion CJ Redd. CJ, thanks for being with us today.
Not a problem.
We're going to talk with CJ about not only his accomplishments, but everything that associates with what's happened in CJ's career at New Palestine High School, and then everything that kind of goes with wrestling. CJ, tell us a little bit about, you won 4 state championships at 106, 120, 126, and 132. Of those, which one was the most difficult?
I would have to say it was either between my freshman year and this year, because my freshman year I didn't know what I was getting into. No.
From the standpoint of experience?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you went to this year, what was the most difficult thing about the 132-pound state championship, in your opinion?
Just being in that state bracket, just every match, just not trying to make a mistake, because they could hit me in one move and the match could be over.
Because of the strength?
Yep.
Yeah. I know that there were a couple of times in the state finals run there where you had some scary moments, maybe. Talk a little bit about that, especially at 132. You talk about the strength of those athletes. How does that, you talked about it being scary. Tell us about how you were able to deal with that.
I mean, everybody has different strengths, and strength is a big factor, huge factor in wrestling. And Friday night, started off with there. I tried to get a kid in front headlock, snapped him straight down, held onto my arms for dear life. Then he hit me in a fireman's, put me on my back. For a second, I got right up, and then I went straight back to the move, and then I rolled him through and I pinned him.
So being able to overcome that, you hadn't been in that position before. So CJ has a unique experience here in that he's coached by his father, our wrestling coach. Tell us what your coach and dad told you or asked you to do in that situation, or was he upset?
Little bit, yeah. He was afraid I was just going to the same move over and over again. Said I had to open up a lot more if I wanted to make the lead wider, extend the gap.
In the 132-pound match, much anticipated match against Nick Lee, defending state champion at 132, there was a lot of give and take, and I thought it was unique in your comments afterwards when you said you still needed to be aggressive. Talk about the dynamics of that match in terms of how difficult it was, 6-5 match, really a 6-4 match. Mm-hmm. How difficult was it for you to maintain that sort of aggressiveness?
I came out, I wasn't really attacking him. I was kind of trying to fill him out, and I knew that's where I kind of messed up, because that's where he got his first points. I wasn't attacking him. Usually I'm on my opponent. Him, I was trying to fill him out because I've never wrestled him before.
Yeah. In that match, you get down 4-0, mm-hmm. And then the thing that from me as a spectator, as I was there, it seemed to me you stayed extremely calm in that match to get it back to at the end, you got out.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're down 4-0, you get out, you make it 4-1, and then you choose the down position. Explain to our viewers why you chose the down position.
My confidence level going down, I feel like I've wrestled the best kids in the nation, and they can't ride me, so I wasn't going to let him ride me either.
Yeah, so you knew you could get that extra point to get it back to a takedown.
Yeah.
So it was strategic on your part. And then talk about, okay, the match is 4-2. Getting kind of late there in the second period, maybe about 30 seconds to go. And then how were you able to get that cradle in there? I know it's your signature move. You've said it all along, that's your signature move. But explain how that opening presented itself.
Well, he kind of got out. Well, I was on his leg. I couldn't finish. And then I was like, I gotta do something. I gotta get him on the leg or something. And I got him to a single leg, and I threw his head to the outside, and I saw his leg just sitting there, so I scooped it up real quick, and he was still on his knees. I was surprised he didn't get up, but he was still on his knees, and I was still on both feet, and I just reached over, grabbed his head, and took him over.
So and it just happened that fast, got your takedown and back points,
Yeah.
and then got control of the match really 6-4, and and then rode him out. You know, interesting part in that match too, prior to that, he had a single leg, and you were in the air and you had the whizzer in, correct?
Correct.
Could you explain to our viewers what a whizzer is? Because I don't know if a wrestling person would know, but a normal viewer might not. What's that? It's a counter move, correct?
Yeah, whizzer is when my opponent, well, he has to have my leg at first. He has both hands on him, wrapped around, and then his arm should be on the outside, and I'll take my arm and I'll slide it through his arm and my leg, and I'll wrap my leg around, or wrap my arm around my leg.
Which creates a neutral position,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. And I noticed that you had your leg, your arm locked, and for our viewers, I'm certain you'll be able to view that match, hopefully here as we're talking, that what that whizzer does is creates that neutral position so that you can, you know, counter or make a move to get out of that single leg. Is that correct?
Yes.
How much training does it involve to get there? Or is that just a normal thing for most
I
wrestlers?
mean, for our team, it's more of a normal, it's like kind of second nature. Kids get into our legs, we got to fight it off. The part that plays a big role is the balance. You got to keep your balance on one leg.
I know you were hopping the whole time to try to create some space in terms of keeping leverage on him.
Yes.
So if he push-pulls with you, then that would be something that he would be able to possibly finish the move. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the things I know now for you moving forward, first of all, I want to ask you this. How much do you weigh right now?
I haven't
Guess.
stepped on the scale.
Okay. Give me a ballpark.
Probably about 148 to 150.
Okay. And so throughout the time that you were trying to make weight throughout the tournament run, getting down to, in this case, 134, because you get the 2-pound allowance after the mid-year,
Yep.
correct? So really it's 134. How much did you have to cut during the weeks of the tournament run would be a fair assessment?
10 to 11 pounds.
10 to 11 pounds. And so for those of you who out there want to learn a weight loss program, this is probably the person you want to talk to. A master at it, actually. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about CJ's regiment in terms of training and moving forward, so don't go away.
We've lived here since 1989. This was my husband's home where he grew up at. My husband farms, and he and my son grain farm, raise cattle, raise hogs. We have horses. So we're not super techie people, but having the internet connectivity here has just been a real godsend for us. The old service that we used to have, every time it rained, it went out. So I doubled down on my contact with Nine Star and saying, come on out to our neck of the woods, please. They've given just the kind of service that we thought they would. I work full-time, but when I'm home, I like to be a grandma and mom. Cooking in the kitchen, it's really nice to be able to just pull up your iPad and look up some recipes. From the full-time business that I am part owner of, CGS Services, if I can't get into work or I want to do some things from home or a customer needs something, I can connect in from right here at home and take care of what I need to. Our son Chris recently has gone into the cattle nutrition business. What he had thought he would have to do is probably go back out to Montana where he spent some time, or Oklahoma, Texas, but because of fiber optics, he's able to continue the family farm business with his dad and do that part-time, but yet develop his new business in the ruminant nutrition, taking care of the cattle and working with clients. If we didn't have Nine Star and the fiber optics, my son probably would be located elsewhere. And it's keeping those kids here working and bringing their families up here and kind of stopping the brain drain. And really good for our family. Felt like it was a blessing when Nine Star came out and brought the connectivity. Whole new world that it brings to you.
We are back with four-time state champion CJ Redd here. CJ, talking about balancing your cutting, your weight loss throughout the week. You talked at the previous segment about you may fluctuate 10 pounds. You may have to lose 10 pounds in, I'm going to say, 3 days, 4 days. How do you go about eating? Because I know I've seen wrestlers, as soon as they weigh in, they go right to the peanut butter and jelly and whatever else they're going to eat and drink and all that stuff, because hydration's part of it too, because you're trying to get rid of that immediate water weight. But talk about what you eat during the week. Give me a typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner for CJ Redd.
During like the state run, I would usually eat all 3 meals Monday and Tuesday. And then once Wednesday came, I'd eat breakfast and dinner. Thursday, just breakfast, and Friday I wouldn't eat anything.
Just to maintain that weight, because you knew you had to get down that particular day. Yes. I remember cycling through the hallway with you. Hey, where you at? How you doing? He said, I'm 2 over, I'm 1 over, a pound to go or something like that. How easy is it to lose 2 pounds in an afternoon or a day?
Well, it depends on for me, it depends on what day. Like around Thursday, Friday, it's going to be a lot harder than it is on Monday and Tuesday.
Because you're close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of types of food, is it fruit? Is it chicken? Is it whatever you want? Is it Taco Bell? I mean,
I try not to eat, go to fast foods during season, or during the week anyways. And during the week, I usually eat, have my mom cook. Whatever she's cooking, I'll eat.
Yeah. So she's aware. She's a big part of the process too.
Yeah.
All right. Talking about family. I know you're close with your family.
Mm-hmm.
I know your mom, Nikki. Is she your biggest fan?
Probably.
Who would be your biggest fan?
It would be either her or my grandma.
Yeah. I know you were close with your grandma.
Yeah.
Great lady. Got to know her pretty well over the last 3 years. But I've heard your mom tell you a lot of times, or mention in passing, because a lot of things that occurred in your career, because you are undefeated for your career, people would be gunning for you. Mm-hmm. They want to see if somebody can challenge CJ, if somebody can beat CJ, and a lot of that I think comes out in terms of misrepresentation or understanding of maybe even who you are. And I heard your mom say one time, CJ, use it as motivation. Mm-hmm. People wanting you to get beat, use that as motivation. How valuable was that advice from her?
It was great because, at the same time, take it back to last year or my sophomore year when I first in the finals hurt my leg and I was on my back. Everybody booing, cheering, he's hurt. Yeah. And just had to wait it out, call injury time, get my head back together before I stepped out there on the mat, because I heard everybody cheering for him, the other guy, and I was like, they want me to lose, and that's just motivation to win. And
that's part of it. I think anytime you're at the top of your profession, or in this case your weight class, not just in the state of Indiana, but nationally. Talk about how that kept you motivated throughout the last really couple of years of your career, maybe 3. When did your national ranking become extremely important to you?
My sophomore year.
Okay. So from that point on, you're talking about, okay, now the motivation is I have to get better. Mm-hmm. I have to maintain my level of where I want people to see me at the top.
Yep.
And so how difficult then, or how motivational was it? Obviously it's very motivational, but tell me what you did to maintain that.
It was just my sophomore year. I seen at the end of the season, I went from being number 10 in the nation to being number 5. And then I just was I'm this close to being what I want to be, achieving my goal. And I was just just got to pick it up even more. Got to go wrestle the best guys in the nation.
And then, did you experience any difficult defeats or setbacks along the way that kept you pushing forward to get to that number one spot?
Oh yeah, I remember going to Flow Nationals my sophomore year. I was supposed to wrestle 118. I couldn't make that. It was just too much at
Too
the time.
stressful. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then
In the middle of summer.
yeah, and I ended up going 125, and I was ranked or picked to get fourth at the tournament, and I lost to Luke Pletcher, who was at the time ranked number 1, but he ended up losing in the finals.
And so that motivated you. I mean, when you say lost, I mean, you never lost in high school. So, I mean, you have been defeated before.
Yes.
So a lot of people would say, okay, you know, how when you lost a match, what was it 4-3, 2-1? I mean, give me a scenario. Was it worse than that?
I think that one was 7-3.
Okay. So in your eyes, that would be you got handled pretty good.
Yeah.
So that kind of motivation and setback would then be fuel for the fire.
Yep.
And then, okay, so the Flow Nationals was a turning point in your sophomore year in terms of, okay, I got to get better.
Yes.
All right. How did you do it? Your dad, I've seen your dad talk about the chin-up bar or the pull-up bar.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Uh,
You've been through 3 of them, I know.
yeah. Just doing 60 pull-ups each morning, or
60?
60 at some
I might be
point in
able to
time
do
in the
one.
day. Some point in time in the day, and then also a plate workout along with that.
Okay. So that kind of motivation gives you that upper body strength and leverage.
Yeah.
And then my question to you is Flow National Wrestling or Summer Wrestling, Greco, how much different is it than high school wrestling?
It's a lot tougher. A lot tougher.
How?
I mean, you don't have guys that normally you do not have guys you'll go out there, pin them in 15 seconds or 20 seconds.
Those matches take a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some might go the whole distance, some might go 9 minutes.
So you got to be calculative, you got to have a strategy,
Yeah.
you got to have counter moves, you got to have the whole gamut, not just 1-2 moves. Bam,
You got to be
done.
ready for everything.
Yeah. And you got to be able to counter everything.
Yes.
Okay. Totally different. Would you not say, and an opinion, is not going to be the same as what you're going to experience next year at Nebraska?
You're gonna be saying, it's probably gonna be a little tougher. I'll probably be wrestling grown men.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's a good point. So that kind of thing, when you talk about that kind of training, is it just pull-ups? Is it running? Is it conditioning? Is it weightlifting? You talked about a plate workout. Talk about that. What kind of plate workout are we talking about?
It's like just a 45-pound plate, just throwing it over your shoulder, around your neck, straight out, pulling it up to your chest. Just like different areas you know you're gonna need strength in during a wrestling match.
I noticed in your career too a couple of times the value of your legs. Talk about how you use your legs in terms of controlling people.
I mean, I could use them for defense, attacking, countering. I try to use them as much as possible. Always try to keep all my weight on my opponent.
Mm-hmm. I know that was key for you in the third period against Nick Lee, because that was very much paramount to you staying in position, having him under control to be able to ride him out for really the entire period.
Yes.
I'm going to guess that probably when he chose down, I heard you make the comment it's going to be tough for him to get up.
Oh yeah.
So takes a lot of skill to do that. When we come back, we're going to talk about CJ's future goals and what his career is going to be at Nebraska. Don't go away.
A working mom who brings her best to both roles. A community-owned telecom that connects her home with high-bandwidth fiber optic. Mom can work from home with fast, reliable connectivity and be there when the kids come home. When everyone logs on, the internet connections stay fast and the family stays connected. 9-Star Connect. Community-owned. Community strong.
We're back here on Dragon Dialogue. I'm Al Cooper, Athletic Director, New Palestine High School, with CJ Red, 4x8 champion and third undefeated state champion to win it in 4 different classes. Wow. You mentioned in the last segment about wrestling grown men in college. okay? Because they may have a little more experience, they might have a little more overall strength. First of all, what weight class do you anticipate wrestling in college?
I think my first 2 years I'll wrestle 141, then I'll bump up to 149.
So the last 2 years kind of, it won't be as progressive maybe as high school because you wrestled in 4 different weight classes in high school, correct?
Yeah.
So you might be able to learn how to maintain a consistent weight for a longer period of time at the college level. I'm going to guess that that's going to be regimented for you in terms of diet, training, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So moving on to Nebraska, Cornhuskers, top 10, 15 program in the nation, correct? 2 or 3 in the Big Ten, correct? So, in fact, all Big Ten wrestling is pretty good.
Yeah.
I know that. That's the best conference in the nation. It's like SEC in football, or however you want to look at it that way. That's what we're talking about. So, think about it from that standpoint. What are you going to study? What's your academic plan there?
I want to try business.
Business.
Yep.
Business administration. So, and then there has been some discussion. You tell us what your plan is in terms of will it be a redshirt year like some freshmen have to experience, or is it going to be something they're going to wait and see?
I think me and my dad, we talked it over and we want to go redshirt first year. But if I feel like I can beat the #1 guy in the nation at 141, I'm going to try and go for it.
Okay. So it's kind of a collaborative decision in terms of what's best for CJ there at college. What are the advantages in that instance? Being able to balance a schedule, get in line academically, train differently, learn the process, because you'd still be able to wrestle exhibition matches.
Yeah, like open tournaments and stuff like that. But I feel like getting the academics straight and getting those lined up right, correct way would be a must for me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the training will be a lot more easier because you don't have to make weight all the time going with the red shirt. So,
So it's part of the long range plan.
Yes.
Correct. Now, talk about what your long range goal is at the University of Nebraska.
I know I want to win. I want a Big Ten. Want to win it all 4 years. That's the main goal right now.
Same as what you had in high school.
Yes.
Yes. When you get to that position and you're put in that first match, to where it starts to matter, Big Ten champions, I mean, they have to go through the best wrestlers in the nation.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, you've scouted the best wrestlers in the nation. How unique is that going to be in terms of satisfying? It's like, compare it to a summer tournament where all the best guys are there. Is it the same thing?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, like, first couple rounds, and it'll be a totally different story from the Big Ten. Totally different story. But once you get into those final rounds, they'll be just like them. Every match is going to be tough. Every match is going to go the distance, possibly longer, and in the end, it's going to come down to the guy who has the better lungs, stamina.
Mm-hmm. So your training regimen is going to get amped up.
Yes.
Is that fair to say? In terms of what? Is it going to be a physical kind of weight training, or is it going to be a cardiovascular endurance type training?
Endurance.
Okay. So you're going to need that to wrestle outstanding people multiple times in one day.
Yes.
That sounds like an extreme challenge to me. You might also experience a rivalry, experiencing moving forward. I know that your opponent this year will also be wrestling in the Big Ten. Would that be a potential rematch in the future at some point, potentially?
Yes.
I bet you relish that opportunity. What do you think, realistically, you say undefeated 4-year champion?
Yeah.
Okay. After, let's say that occurs, Olympics a possibility?
Yes.
Okay. How do you qualify for an Olympic team?
It's a lot
Is it
of
a
open.
national ranking or an open tournament?
It's a lot of open freestyle grown man tournaments. I think it's juniors. I think I will be trying that this summer, possibly. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, it's a lot of open tournaments. I know the Olympic trials are coming up here soon. But that was another thing with Nebraska that a lot of other schools didn't really offer. They offered me the Olympic redshirt year. So for 2020, I'll just sit out the whole year. You can't go to school. You'll just be able to train for the Olympics.
Wow. That's a new one on me. I mean, in terms of, that's news to me. I find that to be, that would be something that would really motivate you, I would think, long term. Talking a little bit about what collegiate wrestling is, how is it different from high school wrestling? Riding time is one.
Yeah.
Tell me how else. It seems to me, and I've got Big Ten Network. I watch wrestling on the Big Ten Network. Saw Penn State wrestle Oklahoma State the other night. But you know, riding time. Explain that to me. A lot of people don't know what riding time is.
Well, take for instance my last match, state finals.
You rode him the whole period.
Rode him the whole period.
Almost 2 minutes.
Yeah, when he was on top, he first took me down. I was down 4-0. He probably was on top for, I'd say, about 3-4 more seconds after that. And I got up, so he would have 4 seconds on his riding time clock. And as soon as I got up, the clock would have stopped. And then once I went down again, I probably got up in about 5 to 10 seconds again.
So he's got maybe 10 seconds riding time.
Yeah, 10
total.
seconds riding time total. I get back up, then I take him down, and I'm probably on top for like about 5 to 10 seconds. So I would have erased 10 seconds off of his riding climb, and then I would have built it on mine going into the third period. Third period, I rode him out for the whole period, or almost the whole period, about minute 50, minute 55. So as long as I have that minute, I will be able to get another point after that. So it would have been 7-5.
So riding time would balance.
Yes.
And as long as you gain more than a minute than your opponent, you get an extra point. Is that correct? So if the match was tied, you would win the match.
Yep.
Is that accurate?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you learn something new every day when it comes to wrestling, and I'll tell you, young man, I've enjoyed watching your career as an athletic director. I've enjoyed getting to know you, and we're all proud of your accomplishment and the notoriety that you have brought to New Palestine High School, and you've been a great ambassador for us, and we really appreciate you being with us today. We're out of time today. We will catch you next time on Dragon Dialogue. Thanks for being with us today. Thanks for being with us, CJ.
No problem.